I'm going to lose my mind if you do not shut up. Hey y'all, it's Jalen. Today I'm really happy to bring you this tutorial because it's something that I get asked about a lot. The most common questions I get about makeup are my eyeshadow creases, what do I do about it? I can't get my eyeshadow to show up, and I have no idea where to start with eyeshadow. So I'm really excited to bring you this eyeshadow tutorial for beginners or not beginners. Whatever your makeup level of experience is, I think that you'll enjoy this video. So I'm going to be talking about a few different things: eyeshadow primer and why you should use it, the types of brushes that you need, and also a little bit into the color. So first things first, the number one thing that will help you in your makeup eyeshadow application is a primer. I talk about this all the time and people act so enlightened when they hear about eyeshadow primer. Absolute must if you want your shadow to last, if you want it to not crease, and if you want the shadows to show up to the best of their ability. So if you want the colors to be as vibrant as they are in the pan, you have got to use an eyeshadow primer. And the second thing that you're going to need if you want to do a little bit more intricate eye looks is a good eyeshadow brush. Actually, I'm going to be talking about a few eyeshadow brush types that you'll need to buy. They don't have to be expensive, but these shaped eyeshadow brushes will really help you with your makeup application. So without further ado, let's get into the tutorial. I think it's really important to have the proper tools, and really I'm just going to be using 4 different brushes for this eye look. I do think that you can get by with 2 brushes, which I'll talk about later, but I think if you want to have versatility in eye looks, then you really only need 4 different brushes. The brushes that I'm going to be using are a flat shader brush, a flat kind of a definer brush, a fluffy blending brush, and a crease brush. I think that you can pretty much get any look under the sun with these 4 brushes, and they don't have to be super expensive either. Actually, my favorite flat shader brush is from e.l.f. and it is $1. So if you're around a Target or if you're around a Walmart or anywhere, any drugstore really, pick up this little baby because it is really good. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to prime our lids. We're going to be using an eyeshadow primer. The one I'm using is the Milani eyeshadow primer, and it's my favorite. It's also really affordable, so that's a plus. So all that we're going to do is we're going to take a little tiny bit on our finger and we're going to pat that on our lid. The eyeshadow primer will really help those shadows stick, it will help the color come out, and it will also help make sure that your eyeshadow doesn't crease throughout the day. I'm going to be using the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette for this look. It's a great neutral palette. Basically, I'm going to give you a look that you can pretty much do with whatever you have. The first thing that I like to do is I like to start out, even though I've primed my lids, I like to start out with a nice neutral base color. For this look, I'm going to be using white chocolate, which is this big white color up here. And I'm going to just pat that with my small shader brush on the lid. When you go into shadows, this is another thing. When you go into shadows, you just want to tap your brush in. You don't need to rake your brush, just tap your brush. And you're also going to pat the shadow onto your lid. Next, I want to lay down what I call a transition shade. So I'm going to take my big fluffy blending brush and I'm going to put a shade in my crease, and the crease of your eye is the part that is creased when your eyes are open. So for me, it's right here along this fold. And I'm going to take a shade that is neutral and matte that will allow me to blend the other colors and have a seamless finish. I'm going to be taking this brownie color. It's called Hazelnut, and it is just a really good matte mid-tone base. So I'm taking my fluffy blending brush and I'm tapping it in that product, and I'm also going to tap a little bit off. Eyeshadows that tend to have some fallout, if you don't tap your brush off, you're going to get a lot of product all at once, and that's not really what we want. You can always build up color, but it's really hard to take away. So I'm just going to lay this in the crease. And a little bit above the crease too. The next thing that I'm going to do is take a little bit deeper brown and I'm going to focus that on the outer half of my lid. So if I take my lid and I split it in half, I'm going to be going on the outer half. So that half of my lid. For this look, I'm going to be using milk chocolate. It's this brown right here. I'm just going to go in with my flat shader brush. I'm going to tap into the product and then focus it on the outer half of my lid. I like to pat some up and into the crease and overlap that transition shade from before. You don't want to have harsh lines, so by blending those two colors together, you're making sort of a gradient effect. So now I really want to add some depth into my eye look, and this is completely optional, but I like to add a little bit of depth to the outside of my eye, what I like to call the outer V. And that is, if you would take a line from the corner of your eye to, say, the end of your eyebrow, okay, and also connect the crease. So it's a little bit of a V, so we'll go out here and then back down to the corner of your eye. I'm going to be taking my crease brush, which has a nice point at the top. I'm going to be dipping into a much deeper color. I'm going to be using Black Forest Truffle. It's this beautiful purpley brown shade. It's got some glitter in it, and I think that it's going to be great to really just kind of define the lid. So using that brush, I'm going to tap in to this color, and because this is a really dark color, I'm going to make sure I tap off the extra because I don't want fallout. So now with that brush, I'm just going to go right up into the part of the eye that creases towards the outside, and I'm going to lay that color down with a patting motion. So you see I've got some color there. So now I'm going to kind of connect it to the corner of my eye. And now with the brush, I'm sweeping. I don't want to go all the way to the inner corner of my eye. I just kind of want to go to the middle part. And then I'm sweeping down towards the corner of my eye. Creating an outer V like this really adds lift to your eye. It makes your eyes look more awake and more open. And I think it's really flattering on a lot of different people with a lot of different colors. You can pretty much do this with any color scheme and it looks stunning. So as you might can see, I have kind of some harsh lines going on, and that's definitely not what I want. So I'm going to go back in with my fluffy crease brush and I'm going to blend all that out. You can do this without product on it, without a color on it, or with color. It's up to you and depending on the kind of look that you want. I'm going to go back in with whatever products left on my brush from when I put my transition color down, and I'm just going to blend out the edges. I want to be careful to go over the edges and not over the color because I don't want to smear the color, but I do want that gradient effect, so I want to make sure that those lines are very soft. That is much better. Now I like to do something that really helps lift the eye even more and lift the brow, and that is to put a light highlight shade underneath your brows. And I'm just going to be dipping back into that white chocolate with my flat shader brush, and I'm going to dab it right under my brow. Now this is another part that is completely optional, but I think that it adds a really nice look to any eye makeup. And that is to use your flat definer brush to go in to the shadows and define the lower lash line. So I'm going to dip back into this deepest Black Forest Truffle shade, knock off the extra, and I'm going to lay it down very close to the lash line. And I'm also I'm only going about a quarter of the way in on my eye with this dark shade. Now you can just wipe that same brush off, and you're going to want to go in with a mid-tone shade. I'm going to dip back into milk chocolate, and right on the lash line I'm just going to drag a little bit over the black truffle and inwards. I'm not going to cover the entire lower lash line. I'm going to leave a little bit on the inside open for a different shade. Now my absolute favorite part is adding a little bit of pop to the inner corner of the lid. So I'm taking the L'Oreal Infallible Shadow in Iced Latte. It is one of my absolute favorite shades and it's part of my project pan for this year, so let's hope that I can make a dent in it. I'm just taking that flat definer brush that I used for the lower lash line and I'm dabbing it into the product. This is a really shimmery product, so for this you want something really light. And I'm going to go on the inner corner on top of my lid and below on my lower lash line. Dab it. This really just helps open up your eyes, make them look awake, and it adds such a beautiful lightness. Sometimes I like to add just a little bit more to my lid on the inner corner, and I use my finger. So I'm just going to dip in to that product and pat on and kind of bring it into the lid to where we can blend it with the other shadows. Now it's done. You can add eyeliner if you want, or just go like this. I'm gonna put some eyeliner on and mascara, and I'm gonna call it a day. And there it is. That's how you get this look. I hope that this helped you. If it was, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see me do a more intricate eye look with explanation like I did this one. I would be happy to do that for you. Thank you so much for watching. It makes me feel all warm and fuzzy to see that you're enjoying my videos. Don't forget to subscribe. I put out new videos every Wednesday and Saturday, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, y'all. Not bad. That's an expensive lip balm. Kind of disappointed I got another brown. And it's pretty thick, but it blends really nicely. So